Hey, bibliophiles, let's break it down. Today, we are talking with author J.H. Markert, author of books Dig, Sleep Tight, and The Nightmare Man. His novels combine atmospheric horror, dark secrets, and whatever he puts in the pages that make us continue turning way past midnight. So naturally, Susie, aka A Witch in Her Book, and AJ, Creepin' It Thrill, had to invite him on to explain himself. Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I don't know if I can explain myself or not.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to give us the opportunity to talk more about your vast history of books.
Mhm.
And I've only read Dig by you. And so I was wondering which one of your books is the best entry point for someone discovering you for the first time?
Huh. Well, I would say I have to for JH, I would say The Nightmare Man, just because that was my first of the horror thriller genre. Um, and then for my real name, James, I would say my 5th book, Midnight at the Tuscany Hotel. And I still, when people ask me what my favorite book is so far, that's that's the one, Midnight at the Tuscany Hotel.
Well, now I have to read it because I have
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Okay.
that's now at the top of my TBR. Very cool. Well, I feel like just spinning from there, James, you know, do you see your books, especially the horror books, do you see them in the same universe or do you prefer or want your readers to kind of interpret that for themselves?
Um, Definitely I see some of them in the same universe. And this is something that started with The Nightmare Man. When I wrote it, I fully intended for that to be a series. Um, but my publisher didn't want a series. So what did I do with Mr. Lullaby? I halfway through the book, so when we sold Mr. Lullaby to him, we sold it on 50 pages. But halfway through that book, you realize it's the same world as The
Yeah.
Nightmare Man.
A lot
So
of
I
nods.
cheated. I cheated in a series. So they didn't want me to do a series, but I kinda did one. Um, and I did the same thing with Dig. Dig ends up sharing the same type of world as those 2. Um, so yes, and at the same time, like, my books that are more the psychological thrillers like Sleep Tight, Spider to the Fly, the upcoming, The Chain House, those all take place in my fictional towns of Ransom or Twisted Tree. So in a sense, I'm trying to create with my JH books a world, whether it be La La Land from those first 3 I mentioned, or just my fictional towns that I make up. Um, I Maybe it's stealing something from what Stephen King does with Castle Rock and all that, but that's I loved that stuff when I read Stephen King. I love how he leaves nuggets in some of his books that make you reference other books previously, and I like to do a little bit of that myself. So, um, but yes, I look at it as that, and I'm close to getting permission to do some offshoots of The Nightmare Man and Mr. Lullaby, so,
That's
for sure.
exciting.
And
Yeah.
then could Mr. Lullaby especially, because I get a lot of heat over how that ended.
We've
Um,
we've talked about that a couple of
yeah,
times.
which was rather abruptly, but that was my fault.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, in that vein of they're all interconnected, but slightly different,
Mhm.
which one of your protagonists do you think would survive best if dropped into another one of your novels?
I tell you what, my 13th book's getting ready to come out, and I've been at this for a couple decades, and I've never gotten that question before. That's a good one. Um,
Surprise.
I would say Ellie Isles from Spider to the Fly, just because of her perseverance, but mainly because she has the spider web on her side, her
Mm.
online network of, true crime junkies.
I love that book.
Yeah,
Thank
I do
you.
too. I do
I'm
too.
still waiting for it to take off.
Really?
Yeah, it hasn't. I mean, it's got reviewed really well, but coming right after Sleep Tight, which
Yeah.
sold a lot, I was expecting something similar with Spider, and I still get, often when people see Dig and I'll see a comment like, "Oh, I've been waiting for another book to come out," and somebody will mention Spider to the Fly, and they're like, "I don't remember that one." So, I don't know. I don't know if it hasn't reached the masses like Sleep Tight did. I think hopefully it will eventually, but I'm very proud of Spider to the Fly, and I
We
wish
need
I
to do
could.
more
Yeah.
promoting for that book.
Well,
Yeah.
this is everybody's cue to go and get Spider to the Fly
Mhm.
immediately.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yes. I can already see the
So
clip
good.
Vengeance for Spider to the Fly.
I had fun writing that. Well, I have fun writing all my books, but, that is the book and anybody asks me if I would which book would I like to see in a movie, Spider to the Fly is always the one where I would like to see it the first one is a movie or a series, because it definitely could be a series. But good question, I love that.
Yeah, that's a good question. How do you know when a horror idea is strong enough to carry an entire novel?
If my agent says so. Um, well, that's a good question too. How long did y'all sit and come up with these? 'Cause these are really good. Um, most of
We
my
played it.
ideas and this is why I never write short stories, because I don't really know how. I don't know how to keep something small.
Yeah,
Every time I start writing something, it ends up big.
I always have a hard time reading short stories because I always need more.
Yeah,
Me too,
yeah,
Susie.
and
Me
Yeah.
too.
and, but so I guess that's the way my brain thinks. So when I do think of a story, it's typically already something that I know I could be put into a novel. Um, that being said, I have a short story. It's more speculative fiction that my agent pitched, and the publisher loved it and said, "This is too short, but if he can convert it into a novella, then we're talking." So I spent a week and a half converting that short story into a novella, and it's now on submission again. But that um, I think was the perfect size for a novella. Um, but most of the stuff I come up with, I always see it as a novel. But we'll see.
But your book, The Book of Jonah, I read it and you actually did really good with that book.
Thank you.
Like it was a short story, but I feel like I was satisfied at the end of it.
And that book was very different. It 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 has a plot,
Yeah.
and but it's more of a character study. It's a more of just a story. It's a memoir. It's
Yeah,
a
it was
fiction.
really good.
It's a fictional memoir about a character who my main goal was for the reader to not be able to get that character out of their head after they read it.
No, yeah, it was you did it what you intended to do because that book was great and it was
Well, thank you.
short, but it packed a punch.
Thank you.
So, James, warning you, the next two questions are all about Dig because I was fascinated from start to finish.
Okay.
Obviously, the main topic is people are compelled to dig into the earth. It's the title, it's in every chapter, it's in every conversation, it's the focus.
Mhm.
How did that image come to you to base a story around?
Um, every every book idea is different, and they come from different places. And a lot of times you'll start off with an initial idea or premise, and it takes a while through the entire writing process for all of it to come together. See, I always look at a novel as the main idea, and then as you're writing it, there's 50, 60 other ideas that come along the way. Um, but Dig started I was just flipping through a magazine, I don't even know what it was, but I flipped across the page that showed a excavation site of a dinosaur. Um, I've always been a fan of Jurassic Park, um, and this is not a dinosaur book, but just seeing that fossil being dug up gave me the idea of what if something or someone was buried in the ground and it was ended up a lot bigger than than it should have. And the entire that's what started it, and then I thought of, what if the entire island is feeling compelled to dig? Um, that in itself is not a plot, but then I thought, why? Why are they doing it? And then I thought of the massacre on the island, and then that propelled the main character, Nathaniel and Amy, and, just took it from there.
See, my follow-up question is, do you consider Jericho Dodd a main character? Why or why not?
I do, because I think without Jericho, the the story's not there. And my intent with Jericho was, um, to never any mention of him was always backstory. So, obviously, he's not alive during the main story thread, but I wanted to creep people out just with the way people talked about Jericho and the way they felt when they were around Jericho. Um, I definitely I think he is a main character, even though I'm never in his point of view, just because I wanted the reader throughout the entire book to be feeling Jericho, and hopefully that
Mission
came across.
accomplished.
Yeah, we felt him.
I I just had such respect for how much of a presence he was, and
Mhm.
everything was reference or context and nothing directly from him. So mission accomplished.
Yeah. And, he's kind of a monstrous figure, but at the same time, to give him depth, I wanted to give him that that side where you feel for him. And the same with Nathaniel as his older brother. He's ashamed of him, but at the same time, he takes up for him. Doesn't want people to know he did, but um, so that and that was a whole new aspect of emotional intrigue as far as Nathaniel coming back to the island and wondering how he's going to be received as the brother of Jericho, um, and dealing with his own emotions as far as what happened, with the two of them after it all went down. Um, so I try as much as I can when I write a horror novel, I want to entertain. Um, if I can scare, that's great, but I also wanna bring out as many emotions as I can. If I can make somebody cry during the book, that's great, or if I can make them laugh, even better. So I try to, when I write my horror novels, to bring out all the emotions.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think you do a
I think
fantastic job of
yeah,
that.
Dig had a lot of dread for me. Like, like I was telling Kendall, like the music when in Jaws when the shark is coming, that like
Yes.
dread, you feel like that was like how I felt reading Dig. It was just like so much dread. It was so great.
Well, good, because that's exactly what I was going for. I wanted dread is the word. I wanted people to
Yeah.
feel dread from Jericho, even though Jericho was dead the whole book. Um,
Mission
so
accomplished.
You
thank
nailed
you.
it because I felt like uh, every chapter ended in such a way that I had to start the next chapter because the
Mhm.
tension was just too strong. I had to know what happened next. So
Yeah.
And I was
nailed it.
if I had to name the main character in Dig, it would be Amy. Um, but I wasn't initially in her point of view. Um, and that happened, halfway through the first draft. I said, this book needs more. Amy's such an important character to it. I'm going to start writing. I needed to write chapters in her point of view. And once I did that, she in my mind kind of took over the narrative. So I'm glad I did that.
Yeah. Well, kind of, on that same, perspective of you, James, you have a way of writing just really scary and bringing out that creep factor in your books, and you're not afraid to kind of go big and unhinged.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever had to research for one of your books?
Um, hmm. I would say either some of the aspects of Spider to the Fly, um, and then probably the nightmare legends and lore from the Nightmare Man and Mr. Lullaby. Just hearing um, each country might have a similar type of legend that about
Yeah.
nightmares and sleep, and there were some weird ones. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole thing about um, nightmares, crawling up on your chest and sucking your breath out. A lot of countries have, I forget what they call them now, but like the boo hag and dig.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't
I
make
had to
that up.
look up some information about boo hags because that's an
Yeah.
actual
Yeah, I mean, I
I
didn't
looked it up
make that
Yeah.
legend
afterwards.
up, but once I read that and I read that, they, walk around and during the daytime in other people's skin, and then they take it off at night, I'm like, "This gotta be in there."
It's so funny because I can't believe, us being such horror readers, I've never heard of that before.
I hadn't
That
either.
was an interesting thing to look up and learn about.
And that's how, how books develop, because I was researching, honey, Tupelo honey, and, and then I started reading about the swamps where the Tupelo trees, and then I read something during that research about boo hags, and I'm like, "What's a boo hag?" So then I looked it up, and then it became, like, one of the major parts of the book. Um, so that's why, you know, the question, "Where do your ideas come from?" A lot of times it's starts with one, and then you get little ideas all the way throughout writing it. And you even get ideas on draft 2 that make it even better in draft 3. A lot of the good stuff in books doesn't happen on the first draft. It happens, in draft 2 or draft 3, because for me at least, I don't know my characters nearly as well on the first draft as I do draft 3 or 4.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool.
So what's a horror trope you'll never get tired of, whether it's you writing it or you reading it?
Huh. Let's see.
We're hitting him with the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
would say
strengthening, ladies.
I would say haunted houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Um,
love haunted
It's a great
houses.
one.
yeah, I mean, um, and it ranges anywhere from the Overlook Hotel in The Shining, or Amityville Horror, creepy houses, because you can do so much with them.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, it took me, what, 6 or 7 JH novels before I wrote my own haunted house story, which I'm almost finished with and getting ready to sign a contract for to come out summer of 2027, and it's called Last House on Misery Lane.
Oh,
So,
Okay.
I'm almost finished with it.
Awesome.
That's exciting.
and the chain house is not even out yet, and you already have your next book
Yeah.
ready to go.
Perfect.
Well, I got another one coming out in January.
Well, thank you, because we need
Yeah.
more books to
Yeah.
keep coming.
Yep.
That's one
Auto
of the
buy.
like
Auto
that's
buy.
like one of the downsides of reading arcs, because like I'll read the books early and then I
Yeah,
have like nothing left to read
right.
until you release another book.
Oh, I would, if I was allowed, I would try to kick out 2 or 3 a year, which I did this year. uh,
If Stephen King could do it, you can do it, James. I have full
I was
yeah,
gonna
faith in
say,
you.
Frida releases a book every month.
I know.
Right.
They just I wish I had what they were making per book, I'll say that. But, yeah, but I try to, as a writer, and get as many books out there as I can, but, when you finish a book and you turn it into the publisher or editor, then it's generally another year before it even comes out, so,
Yeah.
I finished The Chain House. Actually, I hadn't even started The Chain House this time last year. That's the quickest book I've ever written. I wrote it in 2 months. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was last, August and September when I wrote that.
Cool. I'm excited for it.
Me too.
That's my favorite JH book.
The Chain
So,
House?
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
remember you telling me that.
yeah.
It made me more excited to read
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
I say that, and then people are gonna read it, and they're like, "Eh."
No.
James,
I doubt
I
that.
ch- I check NetGalley every day to see if my approval has posted because I'm so eager to read it from what
I
I've
wish
heard from
I
everyone else.
I wish I had anything to do with any of that, because I probably got 2 or 3 just yesterday saying they hadn't gotten approved yet. Um, so hopefully I think it's Crooked Lane who approves them
Yeah,
all, and they're probably not as big a staff as, like, say, one of the big 5 where they have several people checking those. Uh, so hopefully they'll get back to you soon.
But it's also good though that people are reaching out. It shows the excitement for it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because as a writer, you worry about every book, you worry if it's gonna be your last one, as far
aw.
as no, I mean, as far as what if I write the next book and it doesn't get a contract, and I don't have a publisher, and
Yeah,
or what if my each book I put out, the sales go down and down. It's nerve wracking. I'm always confident with the final product, but that doesn't always equate to sales or whether a publisher is going to want it. So the fingers are always crossed because you
yeah,
never know which one's going to take off too.
as I'm building closer relationships with authors and having more conversations with them, I'm learning so much about the back scenes of what
Hmm.
goes on with, like, pitching books and getting it published, and it's, like, stuff that we never think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm always working on a book, and then like I'm trying to finish Last House on Misery Lane, and then but my first page proofs just came in on Ransom Burning, which is coming out in January. Um, my first historical in 7 years, and then I'm getting ready to get the arcs for the Chain House, and then I'm thinking of my next book after so it's always something.
So switching gears just a little bit here.
Hmm.
And you kind of answered one of my questions earlier, so I'm going to spin this a little bit impromptu just a bit. But you mentioned that if one of your books was ever to be adapted into, for the screen,
Hmm.
that it would be Spider to the Fly. Have you ever been approached for, to have one of your books, put into a screenplay of some sort?
Um,
And have
well,
you ever thought about casting if you have?
I I don't always think of like actors to play certain things. I will say that I thought of Kevin Bacon when I was writing the Nightmare Man, the detective. Um, he
Okay.
would be perfect. And then and a lot of the female characters, I think of Jennifer Lawrence just because she's from Louisville. And I would think it would be cool if she was in one
I
of my
love Jennifer
movies.
Lawrence.
But
I know, I love her.
as far as but in the writing world, you have your literary agent,
Right.
and then you have your book to TV film agent. So I have an agent out in LA who, anytime one of my books comes out, he pitches to all the studios and TV shows and all that. Um, and then I crossed my fingers there. So far, I haven't had any option, which is a bummer. Uh, I would have thought I would have had some by now, um, but you never know. You know, one of them gets made, and then more of them get made. But so that's
Mhm.
always, but that's so far out of my control
Sure.
that I try not to think about it. Um, now, I
Well,
will
we're pulling
say
for you.
thank you
Mhm. Just so
because
you know.
I've written several movies, um, but I haven't adapted any of my JH um, books into a movie. Although I did write the pilot for The Nightmare Man. Um, but recently, it was about 2, 3 weeks ago, I came up with an idea of a horror novel, a movie called Larry, and I just wrote it. Took me 10 days and I wrote the whole movie. And I think I'm gonna be able to shoot it indie because I already have financing for it. So if I do that, this kind of circles back to the shorter work I'm gonna turn that into a novella, um, and pitch that too. But, I don't know, when I thought of that one, I just thought movie first, which usually I think book first. But I would love to see any of them as a movie.
We would too.
So, one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of you is because you write historical fiction and horror.
Uh-huh.
And for most of my reading, life, I've read historical fiction. I actually only started reading horror like a year ago. I
Wow.
was always like historical fiction girl, and that started in high school.
Uh-huh.
So I guess what I wanted to ask you is, do you prefer writing horror or historical fiction? Like,
Um,
which one do you enjoy more?
it it kinda ebbs and flows. If I could give a quick arc of my career and explain, um, so I wrote 3 horror novels at the beginning of my writing career that over a span of 12 years that never sold. Wasn't able to find an agent, um, couldn't find a publisher, and then my 4th book, have you ever heard of Waverly Hills
Yeah, I've
Tuberculosis
been there.
Sanitarium?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I went there because it's in my hometown, fully intending to do some research, and I'm like, "All right, this 4th book, it's gonna be scary. I'm going to Waverly. Imma think of a story, be inspired." But when I got there, the building, the architecture was so impressive, and it was huge. Um, and then I thought I was standing on the 4th floor solarium porch overlooking the woods, and I thought, "What if this place is haunted? What's their story?" And then I imagined the sound of a violin and a piano, and I thought of a doctor there in the 1920s who heals patients with music therapy. Um, and then went home and wrote my first historical, and that is the one that got an agent and sold. So, um, for a decade, that's what I wrote, and 6 novels. Some of my historical, like one of them is a Jack the Ripper, um, and Jekyll and Hyde mashup. That one's a little darker, but it's also the one right before I wrote The Nightmare Man. So I was trending that way. But most of my historicals are, I think they're really good book club books. There's a lot of stuff to, um, unpack in those. They're pretty, emotional reads at times. Um, but after 6 of them, I didn't have anything under contract, and then I thought, "All right, I'm barely staying relevant writing historical. I'm ready to rebrand, do something different," and that's when I wrote The Nightmare Man. Um, and then those kinda took off. Um, but I was ready after 5 or 6 of those to get back to writing the historical. So it kinda comes and goes.
Yeah.
I will say because I I I do get that question about writing in 2 genres. Um, And, this is one thing the horror authors battle because there are some gross things in horror. There's some, they could be loving things or there could be funny things, whatever. But horror, a lot of times people think, oh, that's sick. What's wrong with him? But you get that as a horror writer. Um, and I always say, if you want more of who I am, that comes out more in my historical fiction. Um, Not necessarily that any of the characters are based off me, because those would be boring books. Um, but if you want more of a sense who I am as a person, that those come out more in the historical for sure. Whereas um, the horror, thriller, suspense, I have maybe more fun doing those, just because of I could, not as much research, make using my imagination a lot more. So a long, long answer to that question is maybe, and I just came up with it. Thanks for asking. Um, so maybe I have more fun writing the JH novels, but the James historical ones are more rewarding, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I have a habit of doing that. I'll start in the middle of a thought, but eventually I get around to the point.
Same.
You can you can
Same.
edit all that however you want.
No, that was a great answer.
Okay.
So jumping around just a little bit here, but what is a recent novel, horror, or historical, either one, that you feel deserves a little bit more hype, or that you just really enjoyed?
Um, Let me see. I read a book a few months ago that I really liked, Buckeye by, what's his name? Patrick Ryan. I thought that was great. What else did I read? I don't read a ton of horror. Is that crazy? And I don't know why.
Interesting. It's
Um,
interesting.
and I think it's because for so long I read more literary or historical. So I'm just getting into the last 2, 3 years reading more horror just because I'm meeting so many of the other authors, and I feel like, they all read each other's books. I need to do this. I need to catch up. Um, but I'm enjoying that, not only meeting all these other, horror authors that are going right now, but I'm having fun reading their books too. I think a little bit of it is I don't wanna be influenced by some of their ideas, and then every once in a while I'll read a book and it's like, "Oh, that's kinda like something that happened in mine," and it's
Mhm.
completely random, but, I guess I try to avoid that sometimes, but I'm trying to do a lot of catch up on the horror thrillers, and
Makes
one
sense.
thing about that is I noticed, like, it took a year or 2 before I realized there were so many horror events across the country,
Mhm.
like StokerCon, that's huge. I haven't been yet. And my goal is to go next year. But it's really impressive how big horror is right now.
I love it.
Yes.
It's such a good
Speaking
age
of,
for horror.
Hmm.
so I'll see you. I don't know if you have any other big events coming up, but I'll see you at ShiverCon in August.
Yeah, August.
Yep.
I think what, August 14th and 15th.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I keep trying to get Kendall and Susie to come along. Come
I'm
to
looking at.
Indiana.
Well, I'm not staring at the ceiling. I'm looking at my bookshelf. Um, and well, Joe Hill's one of my favorite, and I got to meet him in Boston a couple weeks ago. But right now I'm reading Hex. Has anyone read that?
No,
I've
but I
heard
have
that.
it.
Who's the
Okay.
author?
All right. Let me.
Oh,
It's Thomas.
yeah. I've
Well,
heard of that.
see, I want to butcher his name. I've met him, but I'm afraid I'm going to butcher his name. So um, I just showed it to you there, and it's probably backwards on your screen. So have fun with
No, we
that.
Yeah,
see it.
I'm not trying that.
Okay. But I'm really enjoying that. That's a creepy book.
That's on the
So,
TBR then.
I'm still keeping my fingers crossed you're going to Horror on the Hudson.
Oh, I
Because
hope.
you went last year,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
I couldn't
did.
go last year because it was the weekend of my wedding. So
Oh,
then I
well,
was like, well, maybe he'll go next year. So I'm going this year. And I keep waiting to see your name added to the list.
I know.
as
I
of,
keep my fingers are crossed because I'm going. I'm coming from Indiana. I'll be there as
okay,
well.
as of now, I'm not on the list. If I can make it work, do you know the dates?
Yeah.
November 5th and 6th, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
It's
first
that weekend.
weekend is the
I can't
first
remember.
weekend in November.
Yeah.
okay. I'll look into it. I just know last year it was uh, I got stranded in New York because it was during the government shutdown, and um, my flight got canceled, and I'm sitting in the airport, and I ended up renting a car and driving home 2 days, and
It
um,
won't happen again.
it won't happen again.
It's okay.
not
No.
And
not that
I only live a half hour away. You guys can just come over and hang out.
okay, but it was a
Well,
good event. I enjoyed it. Um, but I'll look into it and see.
No pressure. A little bit.
Um, or maybe
just a
uh,
little bit.
I
Just a
might
little
reach
bit.
out and they say they don't want me back. I don't know.
Oh no. I've
Oh,
I've been talking to her. She definitely wants you back.
okay. I'm like, did I burn any bridges?
No.
I'm gonna put in a
So
good word with Christine.
I had to make sure because I'm having a noir at the bar here in Louisville at Third Turn Brewing, and with S.A. Cosby's coming in for that, and 8 other authors, and we just each of us read short story for like 8 to 10 minutes, and so that's November 21st. So that shouldn't um, mess with that. So I'll look into it. How's that?
Thank you.
all right. And now with a focus on the chain house, because we're all so excited for that coming out.
Uh-huh.
There are some listeners that might be unaware. Could you give them a little elevator pitch of what that's about?
All right. The Chain House is there's a best-selling horror fantasy series that there's 8 books, and it's written by someone named Mallard Malone. And nobody knows who Mallard Malone is because the picture is not on any of the books. And the first book in the series was book 8, and then the second book is book 7, and it goes down in line. So you're months away from the last book in the series, which is book 1, to come out, and no one knows who Mallard Malone is. But think um, as big as Harry Potter was for young adult and adult, whatever, times 10. That's how big the Mallard Malone series is globally. Um, and there's a man on death row. He's a former cult leader called Sal Batiste, and he has one more day to live before he's sent to be sentenced to death. And he's allowed to give one more interview. And in that interview, he says that he's Mallard Malone, and he's not going to give that final book unless he gets a stay of execution. But of course, the governor's like, I'm not doing that. But then he reveals that in that last book lies where a lot of his victims have been buried and some who might still be alive. Um, but to make matters worse, the governor's wife is kidnapped, and the person who kidnaps her, who claims to be Mallard Malone's biggest fan, says, "You can have your wife back, but I want Salvatisse put to death on time." So that's the juxtaposition there, and the whole book takes place within 24 hours, and it cooks. Um,
Oh my god.
but it takes you back into Sal Batisse's cult, um, and the chain house is something that's from the Mallard Malone series, um, that this, crazy guy who kidnaps the governor's wife is trying, pretty much bringing the series to life in a way.
I'm so excited.
Wow, me
Mhm.
too. I
I
can't
am
wait.
too. I can't wait for people. I want people to hurry up and read it. Not that I look at reviews or anything. I know reviews are for readers. I get all that, but it's hard. Um, I can't help but look at early reviews just to see how it's playing, how my books are playing. Um, but once the book comes out, I don't look at any unless it's like Publishers Weekly and that publisher sends me a review or whatever. But
Sure.
um, early on, I like to check out some of them and just see how they're playing.
Awesome.
So, like on the chain house, what made you think to have like a, what made you interested in looking at a cult as the foundation for one of your books?
Well, um, I've always wanted to do a cult book, and
Fair.
honestly, Sleep Tight has that cult aspect to it, but I wanted to create something on par with Charles Manson. Um, and Sal Batiste in this book is was a fan of Charles Manson, and he patterned a lot of his cult off of that. Um, so that's where that came from. I mean, Charles Manson, I can remember, being interviewed when I was little, seeing and just him freaking me out with the way he talked, his eyes, all of it. So you'll see a lot of Manson and Sal Batiste.
That's a great part of your pitch for the book, 'cause that's, like, fascinating.
Yeah,
That is so fascinating. Yeah.
'cause there's a lot of cult lovers out there.
I
Yeah.
love that as like as a horror trope. I love
Uh,
cult
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I
so
do.
there's another trope. How's that?
There we go.
There we go.
So you got haunted house 1A and cult 1B.
Perfect.
Well, without giving anything away, what is one detail readers should pay attention to in the opening chapters or
of
chapters?
of the chain
Chain
house.
house. Yeah.
Um,
If there is any, I mean,
well, the opening chapter, the governor's wife gets kidnapped. So that's definitely something she wasn't looking out for on her morning run. Um, but I'd say that. Um, but the chain house, it's a thriller. It's dark. It's got some dark aspects to it, but there's a father son relationship in it that I think is really deep. Um, so that's something that I think not so much people look out for, but I'm thinking they um, maybe one wouldn't expect. Um, but I really like the characters in the chain house, and plot aside, I guess the characters make the engine go. They are the plot. But I do think there's some relationships in the chain house that equal the suspense of it.
yeah, and I'm sure some research went into this for, like, about cults, right? So what was something that fascinated you in your research or,
Um,
like, something new that you learned?
let's see. Just the cult, the every person that I saw that was in a cult and they're no longer in a cult, just the way they felt like, how did I get duped into that? And just how evil the cult leaders are in manipulating people. They're just masters at manipulation and just it's evil. And I think that's why one of the main reasons that trope works a lot is just that it's like, they put a smiley face out there, the face of it, and it's just
Mhm.
evil behind.
Yeah.
Um, but that and reading Helter Skelter. Um, that was quite a read. Um, but that it was sad reading about some of the cults and hearing some of the people who survived the cult or didn't, different cults. But it's just mind-boggling how people get lured into those.
I think that's all of our prepared questions, unless AJ, Susie, you have some extras, some bonuses.
Yeah, make some up off the top of your head now, and I'll make up some answers.
Okay, I kind of got one.
All right, I kind of got
Roll
an
with me because I don't have this prepared. But so, okay. So we've said that a lot of your books, there's like these really cool Easter eggs and nods towards previous books. Do you think there will ever be a time where you write a book that wraps it all up and then you decide to move on from there?
Oh, that's a good one.
um, let's see. I don't know
Yes.
if there would be one book, but if it was, it would be La La Land. Um, and I would do half the book where with characters' point of view in La La Land, and then the other characters are in the real world. Some kind of play off of back and forth. Um, I will say the next story I write from the Nightmare Man is going to be called The Mannequin.
Oh,
So,
that already sounds creepy.
I'm in. I'm in.
so if you're at all scared of mannequins, this one's for you.
I am. They are
um,
creepy.
but I would like to do a few follow ups to the Nightmare Man, and then do one called La La Land that brings the characters from Mr. Lullaby into the fold. Um, and then maybe even the character, some from Dig as well. So a lot of
Yeah.
options.
I love it.
And because I wasn't, my publisher wanted standalones, and they still do. Um, so I end all my novels intentionally, not in any kind of cliffhanger, like there's going to be a sequel. I end them all in a way that if I ever wanted to do a sequel, I could.
That's
So
smart.
Perfect. It's
I
brilliant.
like having options.
Your books all, and I can vouch for that. I feel like all of your books end in such a way that it could be fine to just end there,
Mhm.
but I always want more. So it would be awesome to see a sequel.
I get a lot of people that ask, "Are you going to do a sequel to Sleep Tight?" And out of all of them, that's probably the one, the least chance of me doing a sequel to.
Yeah,
Just
That was
because,
the first book of yours that I read that got me like hooked on you.
really.
Mhm.
really. Mine was The
Yeah.
Nightmare Man. I
Okay.
went Nightmare Man, Mr. Lullaby, Sleep Tight, Dig, I think.
Well, Sleep Tight is,
Spider to the Fly was in there too. Sorry.
oh yeah, Sleep Tight. The was one of the, because I mentioned those 3 books that I wrote, 20 years ago.
Mhm.
I pulled a lot of Sleep Tight from one of those. Um,
Really?
so, a lot of authors don't ever wanna go back and look at some of their older stuff, but I definitely used some older stuff. And then you mentioned the Book of Jonah earlier. That book was at one time, um, almost 400 pages. Yeah, because there was different storylines in it, and I think every author has that book that you steal parts of it, and, it's like, "I'm gonna put this in another book, and that's the book." I kept stealing, because I wrote the Book of Jonah probably 10, 15 years ago, and I rework it every once in a while, but I've been stealing parts from that and put them to other books for a long time until it eventually whittled it down to a novella.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I struggle with novellas because like I'm very big on like I like story development, character development. I always
Yeah.
want more. So I can count in one hand the amount of novellas I read that left me satisfied.
Uh-huh.
And Book of Jonah was one of them.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was so great.
Wow.
So
I
read it,
plan
guys.
yeah,
Read
no,
it.
it's on my TBR for July. I plan on
And the
Awesome.
reading.
cover, and I just
Yeah.
love the cover anyway. Just that itself is worth buying it.
Oh, with the paint.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
nice.
No, my next read is going to be Spider to the Fly.
Yeah, it's so
James
good. You
says it
have
needs
to
to be
read it.
hyped more because
It
I'm a
does.
newbie. I just know Dig. So,
You
I
will
mean,
love it, Kendall.
You'll
You will
love
love
it.
it.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I got it. It was gifted to me for my birthday last year, and I read it, and I loved it. I guess my non-planned question would be like, what kind of movies do you like to watch? We talked about what you read, but what do you watch horror or?
I don't.
Mm,
I do read. I'm starting to read a lot more horror. And early on in my 20s, I read all of Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Peter Straub, Robert McCammon, uh, all of it. I just went for the entire span of time when I was writing historicals, not reading as much horror, so that I'm catching up on that. But I don't watch a lot of horror movies. Um, if it's something that's psychological, creepy, I would
yeah.
watch it, but I don't get into the gore. I'm not a huge fan of.
I'm not a
Um,
big fan of gore
I don't
either.
like
yeah,
gore either.
I love psychological horror. That's like my favorite.
yeah.
I think
So
gore and everything else they're like different things.
mhm.
So,
Yeah.
So
not
my
into it.
favorite so if I have to, like, name some of my favorite movies would be,
Mm-hmm.
7,
Brad Pitt.
Silence of
Oh,
the Lambs,
Kendall.
um
did did you just say Silence of the Lambs?
yeah,
James, you're my movie bud. Yes. Check,
um,
check, check.
Mystic River, uh, Green Mile. Imma throw you for a loop here. Amadeus, um, yeah, that's totally different than 7.
It's still so good, though.
Yeah, so I'm more of a psychological thriller movie, that type of movie, but I think Mystic River is one of my favorite, for
All
sure.
right, James, now that we're movie friends, have you seen The Menu?
No,
You will like it. You
okay,
should watch it.
I'll write that down.
Write it down.
It is good. I like that movie too.
I haven't seen it.
Doctor Sleep's my favorite horror movie,
I
I
haven't
but
like
seen
I
it.
Doctor
love The
Sleep.
Shining,
Yeah,
so
I haven't seen
naturally
I've read Doctor Sleep twice, though, but
loved it.
I haven't
That's
seen the
weird.
movie.
Sounds good.
Great. Well, James, for everyone that's like, my God, he just talked about 3 books that might be coming out in the next year. Where can they go to follow you and keep updated on what's going on?
I get the best for me is Instagram. Um,
Do you have a newsletter?
I don't, and I should. I've been meaning to do that forever, and even on my website, it says sign up for my newsletter. I've not I've never
And there's no
started one.
newsletter?
No, there's no newsletter. It's a trap. It's like,
We're giving you homework
um,
now.
yeah, I need to do that. But I anytime I spend at the computer, I want to be writing a book or a story. But
Yeah.
I'm lazy when it comes to that. Um, but what is my Instagram? I think it's James Markert 74.
Yeah,
And yes, that's the year I was born.
sounds right.
Um, I'm also on Facebook, just not as much. It might be James Markert author or something like that. I was on Twitter, but I'm hardly on there anymore. But mainly Instagram.
For listeners, I will have James's Instagram linked in the description below. Thank you so much, James, for coming on, and Susie and AJ for co-hosting with me. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you all so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all. It's been great.
Thank you, James.
Thank you,
And
James.
you're welcome. Thanks for the support. And I'll look into New York.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
all.